So I know that some of the fanbase have already decided that Mbeumo is the perfect option to play from the right of the front three, and there are no better options. £50 million is well worth it, and if you say otherwise, you obviously have an agenda, because Manchester United always sign the right players, as we know. However, I thought I'd drop some elite level ball knowledge and actually provide you with an alternative option that I think is a better fit from the eye test, tactically, statistically, and definitely also financially. So if we assume that Embumo is going to cost between £50 to £55 million and is on at least £9 million a year, slightly under what Cunha's on, I think a significantly better deal would be to bring in Kang-In Lee for around £30 million, Yohan Wissa for around 15, and then Franjo Ivanovic for £10 million, and then loaned out to either Ligue 1 or the Championship. I have got analysis videos on Ivanovic and Wissa, which will be linked in the eye above, but in this video I'm going to be analysing PSG's Kang-In Lee. So in terms of work rate, pressing and defensive qualities, I think Kang-In Lee is just as good, potentially even better than Mbeumo is. He's far more versatile than Mbeumo, he's more of a playmaker and so suits that role ahead of Amad a lot better. I think his potential ability is a level above Mbeumo's. He's 18 months younger, at least £20 million cheaper, and would probably be on around 70 to 80% of Mbeumo's salary. Now from the eye test, I think you can clearly see that technically, Kang-In Lee is not just superior to Embumo, but he's actually bordering on the elite level when it comes to his close ball control, quick footwork, and when I show you his statistical output compared against every other attacking midfielder and winger in Europe's top 5 leagues, I think you're going to see why I consider Kang-In Lee this generation's Bernardo Silva. But before I break down that, as well as tactically analysing how he would fit into Ruben Amorim's system, if you want to check out any cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to dragonjersey.com. They've got a variety of different new season jerseys, including the Manchester United jerseys when they do come out, as well as a variety of different retro shirts as well, including this Manchester United 2006-2007 long-sleeved home shirt with Ronaldo number 7 on the back, which they did actually send me alongside this PSG Anelka shirt from the 95-96 season. If you use code Atlantis30 at checkout, you will get 30% off of all orders over $100. Or alternatively, you can just use code Atlantis at checkout and you will get a 10% discount. So I'll leave it linked in the description and in the comments section below. So before I show you the statistical analysis with Lee surely impressing people, let me analyse why stylistically and from the eye test I would prefer him to Mbeumo. So I think it's pretty clear that Ruben Amorim wants Gyökeres, or at least another advanced centre forward who primarily is going to be holding a high position on the shoulder of the two centre backs, either making runs in behind or spinning down the channels, rather than dropping deeper to receive the ball to feet as we see with someone like Joshua Zirkzee. Amad is a winger at wing-back who thrives when he's able to hold a wide position in space, receive the ball to feet, and then look to isolate the opposition's left-back in a 1v1, driving them back into the box, looking to work an angle to either cut inside onto his left foot, or wrong-foot the defender and burst down the line. Now given that we may already have two players in Gyökeres if he's signed, as well as Amad who are better in the transition than they are against low blocks, whilst also having the pace and the movement in behind the back line, alongside the fact that with the 3-4-3, we already using one less central midfielder than most other sides do in the Premier League, and none of Amad or Dorgu, the wing-backs, Euro, Mazraoui, De Ligt or any of the other wide centre-backs apart from maybe Dalot, who likely won't be a starter, are suited to inverting into a central midfield role, alongside Cunha on the other side also being someone who can provide movement ahead of the forward line. What type of player do you think is better suited to that right interior forward position for the overall stylistic balance of the system? An inside forward like Mbeumo who operates best in wider areas on the outside of the fullback or when making runs in behind the back line? Or a wide playmaker who is more effective when moving towards the ball, looking to receive it to feet in tight areas and looking to use his creativity to find the runners ahead of him down that side? In my opinion, I think it's clear that the midfield double pivot, Amad and Gyökeres, would all benefit more from having a wide playmaker like Kang-In Lee who can move into central areas from that right side compared with someone like Embumo who is primarily in the side to be a goal scorer and ideally wants to be moving into the same areas that both Gyökeres and Amad want to. Also, it's common knowledge by this point that United struggle against low defensive blocks because we don't have enough players who are technically elite in tight spaces, via their close ball control and quick footwork and also having the vision and passing to be able to unlock a narrow defensive shape with a subtle cross or a threaded through ball, and this is why I thought a playmaker like Cherki was someone who I thought would perfectly suit that role. But even when compared with Kang-In Lee, you could make the argument that Lee might actually be a better option due to the fact that his quality level in possession is incredibly high just like Cherki's, maybe not as good, but at least in terms of statistical output in Ligue 1 this season, he's at least on his level. But he also has the defensive output and work rate of a player like Mbeumo, which can be seen clearly by the fact that he ranks in the mid-90th percentiles for both his dribblers tackled and the percentage rate of dribblers he's tackled as well, all whilst playing for an incredibly dominant PSG in Ligue 1. A lot of people don't seem to be able to comprehend that a player at a club like Brentford won't always automatically translate and better their form at Manchester United, and I think it's clear to see what the tactical issues could be. Bryan Mbeumo, like Garnacho and even Amad as well, is far more effective when playing on the transition, where he has space to carry the ball into or run into in behind the back line. See, Manchester United face low block systems throughout the season far more frequently than a side like Brentford do, in more congested areas around the final third, and Mbeumo obviously is still effective when cutting infield onto his left foot, but I think Kang-In Lee is far better against deep defensive blocks compared with running into space on the transition, which I think is the type of player that we need, considering we already have transition specialists like Cunha and Gyökeres in the front line, as well as Amad and Dorgu at wing-back. I think Lee's creative passing, both statistically and technically from the eye test, is a level above Mbeumo's, making him a close resemblance to Bernardo Silva, with a bit of that messy technique in there as well. His close ball control vision and cute flicks are perfect when he's receiving the ball between the lines and looking to create with limited time and space, which I think is a far greater compliment to the pace and power of Amad, Dorgu, Cunha and Gyökeres compared with the skill set of Mbeumo. Now tactically, you want your right-sided interior forward in the front three to be able to drift into the channel to receive the ball wide of the opposition's fullback, alongside being able to break in behind the back line via darting runs between the fullback and centre-back, but not overly dependent on operating in those two areas, and actually probably better when operating centrally between the lines, because that is where this player ahead of Amad should be receiving the ball most frequently. And so in short, with Cunha, an advanced centre forward like Gyökeres, and Amad at right wing back, I think the balance of the system would benefit from having a player on the right side of the front three who's more of a midfielder than a forward, a Bernardo Silva rather than a Mo Salah stylistically. See, in the build-up phase, Kang-In Lee's superior technical ability would aid United in playing through the pressure. Now Lee could look to move towards the ball before spinning in behind into the space down the channel, but he doesn't have the sort of pace of Embumo, who would be a much better option for this type of run. However, unless you've got a centre forward like Xerxes, who is then going to simultaneously drop off from the forward line to offer a shorter passing option to link play, then this sort of run into the channels can be done by the centre forward Gyökeres or Mateta, for example, who would be far better at receiving a direct pass and then linking play from this wider area than Embumo would, who would have to be released in behind down the channel, allowing him to then run onto the ball. Instead, if you've got Kang-In Lee there, he can move towards the ball, dragging the fullback on that side high and opening up the space in the channel for the centre forward to then move into, but also offering a shorter passing option in behind the opposition's midfield line press, creating a 4v4 in this wider area of the pitch, where from Lee's going to excel when it comes to his short passing interplay in these congested areas, with his deeper movement also working to open up space in behind the fullback for Amad to run into down the channel. But also, Lee's ability to weave in and out of tight spaces is excellent, as seen by the fact that despite not being what you'd consider a high volume dribbler or ball carrier, when he does attempt to dribble, he very rarely loses possession, with him ranking in the top 1% for his successful take-ons completed, as well as for his missed controls. Now higher up the pitch during settled possession in the middle third, Lee can start in the right-sided half space, where from he can either drift out wide to the outside of the fullback if needed, likely because Amad at right wing back has floated inside, or maybe Dalot starting there, but the majority of the time he can be given the freedom to float between the lines in central positions, almost becoming a part of a midfield three with the double pivot, which is what we saw Bruno Fernandes doing at some points during this season, but now with someone like Kang-In Lee there, who is more comfortable than Bruno when it comes to floating out wide, Bruno can be used in a deeper role in the double pivot, and I think the technical ability of both Bruno and Kang-In Lee in this area will massively improve United's ability to progress the ball through the centre of the pitch, which as a consequence could force the opposition to horizontally compress their defensive shape, opening up more space out wide for the wing-backs. But alongside this, if Amorim did want to use Bruno or someone else as a right-sided interior forward, then Kang-In Lee's skill set would allow him to function to a high level, either as a right wing-back when Ahmad is absent, on the other side as a left wing-back, providing greater playmaking ability from deep, as well as end product in the final third compared with Dorgu, or as a left-sided interior forward in the front three, playing a similar playmaking role from the left, or even in a midfield three if Ruben Amorim was to tactically adjust to more of a 3-5-2. So other than goal scoring from that right side, either through running in behind or cutting in field onto their left foot, I would say that in every other area Lee is as good, if not better than Mbeumo, particularly in more congested central areas and between the lines, which is one of the key reasons as to why I prefer the South Korean to Embumo. And even goal scoring and crossing wise, Lee certainly has shown he has the ability to cut inside onto his left foot, and like Embumo deliver a curling in-swinging cross or release a shot to the near or far post. And given that Mbeumo massively overperformed his non-penalty XG by 7.5 goals this season, and in the last 2 previous Premier League seasons before this one had only hit 6 and 8 non-penalty goals, I don't think you can even say that Mbeumo is levels above Kang-In Lee when it comes to scoring from that right side. And so overall, considering PSG have already set an asking price for Napoli at €40 million, around £33 million, United could probably get Lee for around £30 million. Which is around half of the likely £50 to £60 million that United will probably have to end up paying in order to get Mbeumo. So let me know who you prefer in the comment section below, and if you want to check out any cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to dragonjersey.com. You can use code Alantis at checkout for a 10% discount, so I'll leave it linked in the description and in the comment section below. And if you want to sign up to my Patreon to read any of my articles or get access to the Instagram group chat, I'll leave that linked on the end screen now as well.